I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So this is the conclusion to our 5-component speaker set test. And if you guys have been watching these, then you guys probably already know the outcome. And so we're going to kind of go over that. And a very diverse crowd of speakers, and we tried to keep them in the $350 to $650 range. That's what they ended up being, and that's a pretty wide range, and I think those speakers reflected that. And I think we found some jewels, and I think we found some kind of duds as well. So without further ado, let's just get into it, you know. So the very last ranking speaker that we had was very obvious. It is the MB Court PS1316. That speaker didn't fare very well. It was an awful speaker. It was a 3-way component set and just really poor quality. And our rating system that we used, we gave it a 7.47. And that was really due to the build quality was really bad. The baskets were really flimsy. I definitely wouldn't recommend these. The sound on them, albeit, wasn't horrible. We've had worse ones, like the JLC ones, way worse sounding speaker than these. But the build quality on these, they were awful, and I definitely wouldn't recommend them. And also, if you're gonna run them full range, they really didn't have any low end on them at all. So speakers were $359, which is ridiculous. I wouldn't buy those MB Courts for $359. We got them for $259. At $259, it's kind of reasonable, but I'm thinking those are more like $150 speakers. They just avoid them. They're probably not going to last long because they're so flimsy. So our 4th place speaker is one of the more expensive ones in our test. And I'm not very impressed with the speakers. The build quality on them was pretty good. You know, they came with good accessories. I was just very disappointed in the actual sound quality of them. And that is the JLC3 2-way. Those came in at $499, and you know, everything about them was pretty good. They just really had a hollow sound to them that was just not acceptable to me. It just not. There was something missing. If you used them with a DSP, maybe you could tune that out of them. We EQ'd them, we played with them. We actually borrowed those. The owner of them, first thing he said was, sound kind of hollow. I was like, well, you're kind of right. So those ones came in at an overall score of 8.25. And $499, I wouldn't buy them. I'm just not very happy with some of the JL offerings. I'd like the opportunity to see a C6 or a C7. I've heard that until you get into the C7, you can't expect much out of JL. So that was in some of the comments that we received. So that's not coming from me. So, and the next 3 speakers, I'm going to say are all really, really good speakers. The next speaker in our test is the NVX 3-way. I really think that speaker could finish higher in the test, except for the fact that there's some interesting circumstances with that speaker. I think the components that they build the speaker with, it's got a cast aluminum basket, it's got a carbon fiber cone, it's a beautiful speaker. I think some of its drawbacks that I feel like it had was it didn't have a grill for the woofer. I can overcome that. The speakers were kind of big because of the cast aluminum basket, so fitment in a lot of circumstances might be a little bit tough. They're a little bit deep, and it makes them, they're almost the same circumference, you know, as the cutout size all the way back. And so, you know, those are kind of drawbacks. One thing that I may be a little suspect of these speakers is these speakers, we got a lot of comments that these speakers had been used by other companies in the past in a little bit different arrangement. Maybe the cone was a different material, but the baskets and the tweeters and stuff all looked very similar to like a Recoil, or there was some other, just some generic branded speakers out there. So they're just build house speakers, and NVX is branding them. I think they sound really good. So they're a very good option for if you've got the space, and they come in at $409, and I think that's pretty reasonable for what you get in the $400 range. So I think they're a good value. They got a score of 8.47, which I think is pretty respectable, and it's a good speaker and a good choice as far as this test goes. So the next speaker in our test is the Focal 165 AS3 three-way. It's sort of tied with the top scoring one in the test, and we'll get to that in just a second. But that's a great speaker, and in our video we went through where you can get these speakers through eBay. And I think for the $319 that these speakers cost, you can't beat them. They sounded really good under all circumstances, and I think the build quality on them was really a good for something in the $300 to $500 range speakers. They came with grills, they came with hardware, the crossovers were okay, the cones and stuff were good. They had plastic baskets, but they were good plastic baskets. So I think they're a great option, and they're something that I'm probably going to use in one of my personal cars. So I think they're great. They came in at an overall score of 8.9. And like I said, the price on those, we got them for $319, and they are readily available on eBay for $319, and that's like shipped, duties, whatever. And we'll put a link in the description where you can find those. And so we found them from $319 all the way up to, like, Crutchfield has them for $579. And some people actually left comments that, you know, hey, are you sure those aren't fake Focals? There's nothing that leads me to believe that those are fake Focals. The company we bought them from is a German company, and they look pretty reputable, and you know, they sell a lot of different brands of speakers. So I don't know if it's just the exchange rate or what's going on, but we had very good luck. We tested those speakers for quite a long time on the bench. I mean, I'm talking 6-8 months that we've been playing those things, and they sound good with all types of music. They just have a nice rich sound to them, and they don't really take a lot of EQing or manipulating to get them to work. So if you do have the ability to do that, I think you could really get them to sound really great. So I kind of hate to bring up the last speaker in our test, because I really didn't know that this was the situation with these speakers. These speakers were loaned to me, and a local dealer had them and said, hey, check these out, try these out. These are some great speakers. They're kind of unique. And those are the Illusion Audio Carbon C2, C6 two-ways, okay? And those were the most expensive speaker in this test. They were $649. And I found there were places that you know, were selling these for $400, $450. But what I didn't realize is Illusion Audio is no longer. These speakers are no longer being offered. So I felt kind of dumb after we did the test. Some people left some comments and stuff and said, you know, hey, by the way, why are you testing a speaker that's not made anymore? And I was like, well, I didn't realize they weren't made anymore. And so, you know, like I said, the dealer let us use them, and he didn't really say much about them. He just said, hey, here's some really nice speakers. And so if you can find a set, they are great speakers. And if you can find them for a reasonable price, you know, somewhere in the, you know, $300-400 range, they have some really good attributes. The way that the motor structure is mounted on the front is really cool for, you know, something that has some space confinements, a shallow door, or somewhere where you don't have a lot of room behind the speaker. I mean, the speakers, you know, they were only like, I don't remember what they were, inch and a half or something, maybe even less deep. So carbon fiber cones, and the tweeters were really sweet. They were a nice speaker, good quality. We listened to those things for quite a long time, and they overall, I gave them a 9, and I think probably their biggest drawback in this test was how expensive they were. So, you know, things to consider on this. Like I said, you know, as far as what's readily available, I think the NVX are a great option. The Focals for sure. You know what? If you want, if I had to pick between the two, that would be pretty tough. I think it depends on space. You know, I would like to give the NVX a try, and I might. I might use them in my own vehicle for a while to kind of see how they go, because I think they're pretty good. Just a little curious about maybe the quality on them, but I think the Focals are really a safe bet. If you want a really sweet sounding speaker that's not that expensive, you know, I mean, you can have those things for, you know, just over $300. I think that's a great bargain. And so even though they didn't rank the highest in the score, I think we can throw away the Illusion Audios because they're not really available. So I would go with the Focal. So anyways, thanks for watching, and you know, please like, subscribe. You know, if you want to share these videos, that's great too. So anyways, we've got some more up and coming stuff. We're gonna do some budget components kind of shootout in the same manner, and I think right now we're up to 4 sets, and these are all going to be in the $200 and less range. And I think we've got some good options in there. So I think you'll be surprised. We're getting some that are lesser known brands out there, maybe some sleepers. So, and last but not least, you know, I've been talking in a lot of these tests, man, I'd like to get my hands on some expensive speakers, some, you know, $1,000 speakers. So I got my hands on a set of some almost $1,000 speakers. We're talking, you know, $800-900 three-way set of speakers. So I'm really excited to test those out to see how they compare to these mid-range ones. And obviously in the test, you know, maybe we'll refer back to some of these to kind of, you know, compare them to. So anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all that stuff. Maybe drop by our eBay store and pick up a channel sticker. Show your support, and till next time, catch you later.